let's get on to my favourite hobby horse. It's also Kim Crawford. It's his favourite hobby horse. I know this. And Kim has said AFL were quick to congratulate themselves on the pre-finals bye for great games in week 1 of the finals. 2 top teams that won had another 2 weeks off without a game, then a massive home ground advantage, but both lost. Is it time to get rid of the pre-finals bye? Your thoughts? Thank you, Kim. Now, Kim, I think you're aware that I've been banging on about this for as long as you've been talking about the final 8, which I know is a very proud achievement of yours and goes unrecognised by the AFL, which is wrong. But
final 8 is, as we currently play it.
Say it again.
Is the person you're referring to the author of the current final 8 system?
Yes.
That's an enormous feather in his cap.
Yes, well, talk to Kim about it because the AFL never really acknowledged his work on that, and it's a source of some angst. So anyway, we'll talk about that at a later stage. But I was going on about this after the first season of the pre-finals bye in 2016 because of the following stat, which is now more lopsided than ever. And people have said, I've brought it up virtually every year, and someone always says, we don't have a big enough sample size. Well, do we now? Here is the pertinent stat. Before the introduction of the pre-finals bye, 17 of the previous 18 preliminary finals were won by teams which won the qualifying final, had a week off, and came up against a side which had played right through the season, not had a break, and went into their 3rd final against a rested team. I thought that was fine. Didn't worry me that 17 of 18 won. That was the reward you got for finishing top 4 and winning a qualifying final. So 17 out of 18. Since the pre-finals bye was instituted, we've now had, how many is it? 10 preliminary finals. 4 only of which have been won by the sides that won the qualifying final. So the 2 numbers, 17 out of 18 becomes 4 out of 10. Now, Finey, this is the 5th year of the system. Yep. Fewer than 50% of qualifying final winners have won. I think that is very much because by the time they play their preliminary finals with the pre-finals bye and then another week off after their qualifying final, they end up playing 1 game in about 25 to 27 days. They are underdone. Now, these 2 examples, you haven't seen sides sort of coming out as though they're half asleep, which has been the case in several other preliminary final defeats, which I'm quite happy to cite. Not so obvious tonight, but Brisbane, certainly not at their best. Port Adelaide, were they at their best? I don't know. I've seen them play a fair bit better than they played last night. But surely, Finey, interested in your thoughts on this, you cannot look at those 2 figures, 17 out of 18 versus 4 out of 10, and not at least say that is a massive turnaround. Surely that is worth having a forensic look at and asking if we have given away the advantage that comes with finishing top 4, all for the sake, remember, not of freshening players up for finals. Don't listen to that. That is crap. It was all as a result of Fremantle twice and North Melbourne once fielding half-strength sides with their place in the finals assured. So it was all about gambling. Have we tried, we have cracked a walnut with a sledgehammer, in my view. What are your thoughts?
These numbers are now irrefutable. Now, I know that you jumped on them pretty early, but I think that made sense anyhow, because 1 game in 27 days is wrong when footballers play once every 7 days.
Well, go on.
I don't always agree with you, right? You are 100% correct. And for people that don't know, that's the most percent you can be. Not 101, not 110. You're 100% correct, Rowan. And this is imbalance that has favoured, that takes away the rightful advantage of finishing first, second in that order, or third, wherever. The higher you finish, the more you should be afforded the chance to win the flag.
Which compromises the integrity of the premiership. So they've made this change because they're worried about integrity of certain games being compromised. A, which we dispute anyway, but B, even if it were, you're talking about 2 or 3 home and away games tops. There was 2 in 1 year. 2 games out of maybe out of a 198 home and away game season. So you quash that, and in doing so, you make the premiership a far more even race between 8 teams rather than reward the sides that have finished top 4. You devalue the advantage of finishing in the top 4. So what is the point of fighting tooth and nail and working your ass off over what is normally a 22-game season to acquire that top 4 advantage when there's a fair bit of evidence now that if you finish top 4 and win your qualifying final, you're actually at a bloody disadvantage. Yeah, okay, it freshens players up. Yeah, okay, we might get a couple more great week 1 finals. Surely it's more important to have the right teams that deserve the opportunity to play in a grand final, playing in a bloody grand final. It's just stupid thinking from the AFL, massive overreaction to what wasn't really a problem. And now, Gil McLachlan said last week or the week before, we're definitely keeping the pre-finals bye. Well, get stuffed, Gil. This is bullshit. 4 out of 10, mate, compared to 17 out of 18. If you can't see that there's a problem there with the integrity, you're an idiot.
Rowan, a bye, a week off is handy. That was recognised in 100 years of finals, from the Final 4 when the Page system was finally decided to be the best system, first versus second, third versus fourth, winner of first, second gets a week off. There's a bye. Final 5, there was a bye there for the top team. Final 8, Final 6, yes, again. And now the Final 8 has it done sensibly rather than the original first versus 8th, which was a lottery system, second versus 7th, etc. You're right. To turn the advantage of having a week off into the disadvantage of not playing more, playing once in a month is integrity is one word. It's interference with our logic, and it's also, unfortunately, for some clubs, proved their undoing unfairly. Has it been the case this year? Maybe. I'm not certain, but maybe. But
they need to look at it. They need to talk to the fitness people. They need to look at the numbers. They need to bloody look at it, I'm so sick of them overreacting to situations and creating more issues than existed in the first place that they set out to resolve. It's happened time and time again. And this one goes to the heart of who should be winning the premiership every year. Having said all that,
I just want to say,
hang on, I just want to say Geelong and Richmond will be very worthy premiers, okay? So I'm not saying they don't deserve to be there. They do.
But they could have been there still, not having to play against teams that were disadvantaged. They still could have been good enough to be there.
Yeah.
It's not they wouldn't have been there. You know what? No one begrudges Bulldogs winning their second ever flag, because I know as a St Kilda supporter, waiting a lifetime to watch your team win a premiership is a painful wait, and the joy that must come when it arrives, you don't take away from people.
No, look.
The fact the AFL celebrate that they won that flag because they had that week off and were able to field their best team is an insult to Sydney and other teams in that top 4. It is a bloody insult, honestly.
Yeah, well, they were the best team of that final series. There's no question about it. However, I would argue that had they not had the pre-finals bye and not got, oh God, who was it? Roughhead, McRae, Liberatore, there were 5 of them. Had they not come back, I'm not sure they would have won that first final.
No, and that would have been curtains.